Episode 4. What will be the citizenship of the future? This is something I've thought a lot about. Citizenship is something that many of us are granted by being born in a certain place. Sometimes it's something that we apply for and we have granted through some kind of application process. Perhaps it's something that we get because of marriage, because of family, perhaps because of a particular skill, or maybe even religion. Citizenship is something that defines our relationship not just to people around us, but to the governing structures above us and the rights, responsibilities, and obligations that go along with that. It's an idea that's quite old. We know a lot about the idea of citizenship from obviously the Greek times, but more so the Roman times. Something that many philosophers and political thinkers and theorists thought about and influenced many Roman senators and later emperors to drastically change. That's why we have in the year 212 AD, with Caracalla, we have the Universal Declaration of Roman Citizenship for anyone who was living in Roman-controlled territories. This was huge. Everyone was to become a free person or free man. There's a lot that was obviously problematic with that, but it was a huge step in recognizing that just because someone is born in a certain area, just because someone might speak a particular language or have a particular complexion does not mean that they're any less connected to the people around them nor to the governing structures. Times were very different in Rome, and now we're in the year 2019, and the idea of citizenship is very different. I was myself born a Canadian citizen. I later became an American citizen, and now being a resident of Austria, theoretically I will be eligible to become an Austrian citizen in a few years. But what does that mean? Why have citizenship? Why be so enthusiastic or supportive? And why look at citizenship as a kind of value as to a human life? It's something that we think about more when it comes to voting, being elected, serving on a jury, taxation. But I think most importantly, it's the right to stay in one place, the right to earn your living, earn the fruits of your labor. And it's something that has to change. It has to change. Things are changing very, very quickly in the world that we live in. Travel is getting cheaper. Trade between countries is getting freer and more open. Work is getting much more portable. Countries themselves are much freer than they ever were in the history of time. And because of that, our rights are beginning to be very portable as well. The benefit for many American citizens is, yes, they get to have the big eagle on their flag. They get to live and work throughout the United States of America and any of the 50 states or territories. But it also means paying taxes to the federal government for the rest of your life. Doesn't matter if you live in Hawaii or New York or in the Philippines. If you are a U.S. citizen, you have to pay taxes and declare them for the rest of your life. That's a trade-off. At the same time, the Navy SEALs are there to protect you in any bad situation that may arise in any country. It's an interesting trade-off that many Americans deal with, and there's an interesting movement to actually get residence-based taxation versus citizenship-based taxation. But that's an interesting question to tackle another time. The bigger question to think about now is, what will be the citizenship of the future? People are now traveling and living in different areas, areas different from their birth than ever before. We know that's true, certainly in the European Union, thanks to the Schengen Agreement, and even we see in the headlines with Brexit and the many Europeans who've moved to the United Kingdom for better work, for better life, and have been able to benefit from the more open system that has allowed them to take their citizenship that used to be national, and it's been brought to the supranational level to be a European citizen. It's an interesting arrangement, and I think the experiments that we're seeing in places like Estonia that do offer e-residency, the ability for almost anyone in the world to sign up for this program, to start a business, to use the services, the online architecture of everything that an Estonian citizen can do, is interesting. How will citizenship change in the next 50 years? We're not all working in the same types of jobs that we always did. It's not always labor, and it's not always dependent upon just swinging a hammer or serving customers. Many times it's with online clients all over the world. And that means that what it means to be a citizen is going to have to change. Something will have to be different. Does that mean that we're going to be able to opt in and choose a different citizenship based upon the rights, responsibilities, or obligations that a particular jurisdiction might have? That could be the future. It could be an interesting way of looking at it. It would go much beyond being born in a certain area and having particular rights, responsibilities, and obligations just because you were born there. There are people who would love to move heaven and earth in order to move to different jurisdictions to be able to benefit from the rule of law, from the economic opportunities, and there are many restrictions in face of that. But do we really need that? It's something to think about. I'm not sure I have the answer. I think there are a lot of very interesting and smart people who are thinking about this and are using the knowledge that a lot of the Roman philosophers used. People like Cicero was able to provide very good argumentations of why being a Roman citizen was so important, why it was such a powerful notion, that you could not torture your fellow citizens, that you could not deprive them of their human nature. And the more and more that we globalize our world and the more and more that we extend that not just to people within our borders, but people outside of our borders, we're going to have to think about how citizenship will evolve, not just with the internet, not just with a freer world, but with a much more open world and the way that we're moving around more than ever before. We're experiencing different cultures, and we're learning that there's not much more that divides us than the languages that we speak or the places in which we happen to live. That's all for now. Au revoir et à la prochaine.